You just got 3 estimates from your project. One's $50,000, one's $75,000, and one's $90,000. Which one do you pick? If you said the cheapest one, you're about to make a very expensive mistake. I've been building custom homes in Houston for well over 15 years, and I've seen hundreds of estimates from other contractors. And I can tell you right now, most estimates are designed to confuse you, not inform you. There are 3 things buried in every estimate that will determine whether your project is a success or a disaster. Most homeowners never look for them. That's why they end up with surprise costs, timeline delays, and contractors who disappear halfway through the process. I'm going to show you exactly what to look for, because the estimate that looks the cheapest up front is usually the most expensive in the end. The allowance trap. First thing you need to find are allowances. This is where contractors hide costs and set up the sticker shock later. Look for lines like kitchen cabinets, $15,000 allowance, or flooring allowance, $8,000. These sound reasonable, right? Wrong. Here's what they actually mean. The contractor has budgeted $15,000 for cabinets, but they haven't told you what quality that gets you. Could be Home Depot stock cabinets, could be custom hardwood cabinets. You have no idea. Then during the project, you go to cabinet shopping, you find out $15,000 gets you particle board boxes that look like they belong in a rental property. The cabinets you actually want are $25,000. Surprise! Now you owe another $10,000. I see this constantly. Clients think they're getting a $100,000 kitchen, allowances are set artificially low, real selections cost $140,000, now they're stuck. Either accept cheap finishes or below the budget. Good estimates should specify exactly what the allowance covers. Kitchen cabinets, $15,000 allowance for solid wood, soft close drawers, crown molding, based on XYZ manufacturer's mid-grade line. Bad estimates just say kitchen cabinets, $15,000 allowance. That's a trap. The scope gaps. Second thing to look for, what's not included. This is where projects go sideways fast. Most estimates have a section called exclusions, not included. Read every word, because that's where contractors hide stuff that you assume was included. Common exclusions that shock homeowners: permits, site preparation, cleanup, appliance installation, painting touch-ups after move-in, landscaping repair. I've seen estimates that exclude basic things like outlet covers and switch plates. Clients assume that it's included in electrical work. Then the contractor comes back and says, nope, that's an extra $500. Here's a real example. I had a client hire a contractor for a bathroom remodel. Estimate said $25,000 for complete bathroom renovation. Sounds comprehensive, right? Exclusions buried on page 3 said demolition, debris removal, plumbing permit, electrical permit, exhaust fan installation, mirror and accessories, and final cleaning. By the time they added all the excluded items up, that $25,000 bathroom cost $32,000. The contractor really wasn't lying. Technically, everything was disclosed, but it was designed to be misleading. Good contractors minimize exclusion and clearly explain what's not included and why. Bad contractors use exclusions to make their bid look lower than it really is. Third thing that usually goes wrong is with the timeline. Most estimates either don't include one or include one that's completely fantasy. Kitchen remodel, 6 weeks. Sounds great, but they didn't account for permit delays, material lead time, or inspection schedules. Here's the reality. Permitting in Houston could take anywhere between 2 to 4 weeks at a minimum. Custom cabinets may take you anywhere between 8 to 12 weeks depending on what the design and the manufacturer says. Appliance can easily be backlogged depending on what it is that you're looking for, but somehow the finishing your kitchen is 6 weeks total time. That math doesn't work. Either they're lying about the timeline or they're planning to use cheap, readily available materials. I had a client who hired a contractor promising an 8-week bathroom remodel. Week 12, they were still waiting for the shower door. Week 16, still waiting on the vanity. Week 20, project finally finished. The contractor wasn't necessarily dishonest, they just didn't understand how long things actually take to get in. But clients plan their lives around the 8-week cycle. They had family visiting, planned parties, made commitments based on their timeline. Good estimates include realistic timelines with the buffer time built in. They account for permit processing, material times, inspection schedules, and they might even break down the timeline by phases. Bad estimates either skip timelines entirely or promise unrealistic completion dates. How to compare apples to apple. Now you know what you're looking for, but how do you actually compare estimates when they're all so different? First, normalize the allowances. If one contractor budget is $10,000 for flooring and another budget's $15,000, find out what that actually gets you. Same quality, same square footage, same installation method. More importantly, you as the homeowner, figure out what it is that you want your actual selection to be to make sure that you have a realistic budget. Your flooring allowance is $10,000. What specific product does that cover? What happens if I want something different? Second, add up all your exclusion. That $50,000 estimate might become $65,000. Once you include everything that's excluded, suddenly that $75,000 estimate, including everything, looks a whole lot better. Third, factor in timeline reality. The contractor promised in 6 weeks might actually take 12 weeks. What's the delay worth to you? Lost rental, income, extended hotel stays, family disruption? I tell clients to create a spreadsheet, list every line item from each of the estimates, add excluded costs, adjust for timeline differences. Now you can actually compare. The questions that reveal everything. Here are the questions that separate professional estimates from amateur ones. Can you break down this allowance? What specific products does it cover? What happens if my selections exceed the allowance? What's included in your labor rates? Cleanup, touch-up? How long is my warranty? How did you calculate this timeline? And what could delay it? What permits are required and who's responsible to pull them? Good contractors welcome these type of questions. This lets us know that you are vested in the process. Bad contractors get defensive or vague or give you vague answers. If a contractor can't clearly explain their estimate, don't hire them. You're not being difficult, you're being smart. The change order setup. Here's something most people miss. Estimates that are designed to generate change orders. Some contractors intentionally lowball line items, knowing you'll want upgrades later. They win the job with a low bid, then make real profit on change orders. The best example I can give you of this is you get a basic budget, build a grade trim throughout house. During construction, you see how cheap it looks. They offer you to upgrade to custom trim for only $8,000 more. But if they included proper trim in the original estimate, it would have added maybe $4,000. They're making an extra $4,000 in profit by setting you up for an upgrade. Look for line items that seem unrealistically cheap compared to other estimates or what you've already done your research online. Ask specifically what's included. If it sounds too basic, budget for the upgrades up front. A realistic budget up front will save you in the end. Last thing to check is the payment schedule. This reveals a lot about the contractor's financial stability and their professionalism. Red flags to you should be large upfront payments not tied to completion milestones and final payments that are less than 10%. Good payment schedules tie payments to completed work. Maybe 10% to start, 25% at roughing completion, 25% at completion, 25% at substantial completion, and 15% at the final punch. Bad payment schedules front load payments. Upfront payments at 50, 60, or 70%. This protects the contractor but leaves you vulnerable. If a contractor needs this much money up front, that's probably more than their entire profit, they're either not financially stable or they're planning to use your money to finish someone else's job. Either way, that's not your problem to solve. Here's what I want you to remember. The estimate is for a preview of how the contractor will manage your project. Detailed, clear estimates usually mean detailed, clear project management. Vague, confusing estimates usually mean vague, confusing communication throughout your entire project. Contractors who take time to create thorough estimates usually take time to do thorough work. Contractors who rush through estimates usually rush through everything else. The cheapest estimate is rarely the best value. The most expensive isn't always the best quality. The best estimate is the one that clearly explains what you're getting, what your money is giving you. So before you sign any estimate, check those 3 things: allowances, exclusions, and timeline. Ask the hard questions, make contractors explain their numbers. Drop a comment and let me know what you found when you reviewed your estimates. I bet you discovered some surprises. And if you want more insider tips on hiring contractors, managing construction projects, subscribe. I share the stuff that they don't want you to know because I've been on both sides of these deals. Don't let a bad estimate ruin your project before you even start.